Om Sri Saram. Good morning, each and everyone, and Saram to one and all. Today we are discussing lesson about foreign account for sources of the Indian history. In the previous class, we have discussed on about non-literary sources, but today we move to what are the important contributions from foreigners to reconstruct the history of India. So, the fertile land, wealth, intellectual, and philosophical attainments of India had attracted many foreign traders, students, pilgrims, philosophers, and invaders. So, they are the primary sources by first and informer and help to bridge the gap about important events. Totally, indigenous literature can be supplemented by foreign accounts. To India came Greek, Roman, and Chinese visitors either as ambassadors or travelers or to seek religious knowledge from time to time. They have left behind an account of the things they saw. To the court of Chandragupta Maurya came a Greek ambassador called Megasthenes, who wrote Indica. Its original text is lost, but parts of it have been preserved in fragments quoted by subsequent Greek writers. When read together, these fragments furnish valuable information not only about the administration but also social classes and economic activities of the Mauryan period. The Greek and Roman account of the 1st and 2nd centuries mention many Indian port and commodities of trade between India and Roman Empire. The Periples of Erythraean Sea, a work by an unknown Greek author, mention many coastal town rulers and product of India. It is a provide valuable data in this regard. And Natural Historia by Pliny, a Roman writer, gives idea regarding Indo-Roman relations and political conditions of India. Of the Chinese traveler, mention may be made of Pahian, Huansong, and Isting. Both are Buddhist and came to this country mainly to visit the Buddhist shrine and to study Buddhism. Pahian, who came to India in the 5th century AD, described the conditions in India in the age of Guptas, whereas Huansong presents a similar account of India in the 7th century. During the time of the king Harshavardhana, Huansong also described in detail the glory of Nalanda University in Bihar during his time. Totally, trio pilgrims of China, they are known as Pahian, Huansong, and Isting, provide most useful information. Pahian writing work known as Gokoki, Huansong writing work known as Siyuki. Huansong visited the court of Harshavardhana and Pulkesi II. He has given a vivid picture of the education, religion, society, and administration. He has also mentioned the Narmada battle and the defeat of Harsha. And one more, Isting visited India during the last decade of 7th century. He traveled extensively and gives information regarding various cities of India like Rajagruha, Kashi, and Nalanda. Next, we are moved to one more concept known as changing notions of story. It was suggested, particularly by Western scholars, that ancient Indians had no sense of writing story. But it is not true. Actually, Indian sense of writing story was different from that of the Westerners. The people from the West recorded events in chronological order, while the ancient Indians write in a different manner. It can be seen in the text called the Puranas, where four different ages called Kruta, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali are mentioned, and in each age we get detailed list of the rulers and dynasties. Besides, a large number of inscriptions have been discovered. This gives genealogies of kings of various dynasties and also refer to their achievements. It shows that Indians had the basic knowledge of time or period and space where events were taking place. Modern research in ancient India history began in 1765 when East India Company took control of Bengal and Bihar. In order to administer the Hindu law, Manusmriti, the ancient Indian text on law, was translated into English in 1776. This initial effort of the British to understand ancient law and customs culminated in the establishment of Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1784. Under its aegis and that of several other such societies, Indo-religious and classical texts were translated into English. The greatest impetus to Indological studies was given by Max Muller, a German-born scholar. Soon, the British realized that they needed an intense knowledge of Indian scripture and social system to rule them better. In 1904, Vincent A. Smith wrote Early Story of India. It was the first systematic story of ancient India. In this book, his approach to story was pro-British and he tried to justify the British rule in India. It served as good propaganda material for the perpetuation of despotic British rule. The Indian scholar, especially those who had received Western education, were upset about the way the British were presenting India story to their advantage. Nationalist ideas, some of them took upon themselves the task of rewriting story to show to the world the true glory of Indian culture. The two notable nationalist historians were R.G. Bhandarkar and V.K. Rajwade, who reconstructed social and political story with the help of various sources. While doing so, they also attacked some of the social evils like child marriage, caste system, promoted widow remarriage, and human trafficking. These are all the different. The contributions of P.V. Kane is remarkable. He wrote a monumental work entitled History of Dharmashastras. It highlights the chief elements of ancient Indian society. These Indian scholars carefully studied ancient Indian texts on polity to demonstrate that ancient Indians had a keen sense of administration. Dear Bhandarkar, an epigraphist, published book on ancient Indian political institutions. So, descriptive narrated about whole political system of the ancient India. H.C. Rai Chaudhary reconstructed the history of ancient India, and while doing so criticized V.S. Smith at many points. A stronger element appears in the writings of R.C. Majumdar, who edited a multi-volume history and cultures of Indian people. Until in 1960, Indian scholars inspired by the idea of nationalism glorified the stories of their respective regions and of India as such. The different the regions constituted different parts of India is one more very important. The concept of the merit of exploding the myth of despotism goes to K.P. Jaiswal. He writes about the existence of Indian republics and self-government in ancient India. After independence, a new trend in story writing took over. There was a shift towards the writing of non-political story with greater emphasis on society and economy. The Wonder That Was India was one such pioneering work written by A.L. Basham. A further shift is evident in D.D. Kosambi's book An Introduction to the Study of Indian History. His treatment followed a socio-economic aspects of ancient Indian history. After him, a large number of historians followed the trend and focused on social, economic, and cultural history. So, these are all different sources of foreign account studied and about Indian history. And one more, and changes notion of story. Next, we have moved to one more very important concept known as themes in Indian history. It is a type of the concluding part of introduction of Indian history. For an overall knowledge of the past, students are to be made aware of various aspects of society called themes. These themes enable us to learn about development in different spheres: social, economic, religious, political, and cultural. The development in this sphere are so much interlinked that they often break the boundaries between them. For example, when the pastoral when the pastoral society of the early Vedic age got transferred into settled agricultural society in the later Vedic age. So one of the best example known as in the early Vedic period, they worship gods like Indra, Varuna, Agni, Vayu. But during the later Vedic period, they worship three incarnations of God known as Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. So it is one of the very best example for transferred from pastoral society to agricultural society during the time of the later Vedic civilization. And one more very important known as how to man turn from uncivilized to civilized. The political system changed as a consequence. The king, who was earlier known as Gopati, Gopati means lord of cattle, in pastoral society became Bhupati. Bhupati means lord of land. With the development of agricultural economy and with that the wars began to be fought for acquiring more land instead of cows. The kings gradually became powerful and kingship hereditary. So we notice that changes in different spheres are related to each other and they often influence major developments. In this course material, you will learn about the development in the field of art, architecture, caste system, science and technology, economy, and also about the rise and growth of various religious sects and rituals. So, these are all different concepts and about themes in Indian history. Totally, today class is over. Thank you. Jai Saram, Saram to one and all.